Boris, how'd you like a snowball sandwich? Maybe like another one.
Listen, jerk. When I tell you to come, you better come. What, are you gonna cry now? Come on, cry, baby, cry for me. Come on, cry.
Deep in the recesses of my brain, a tiny red-hot little flame began to grow.
This is the Dave and Creech Show, the only podcast where podcaster CJ Creech and actor Dave Sheridan come together to talk all things entertainment with your favorite entertainers. Want to ask our guests a question? Tweet them to @DaveSheridan or @CJCNOV88, and they may be asked to our guests live on the show. We do have to ask you stay seated during the podcast because this ride may get a little bit hilarious. Now here's your hosts, Dave and Creech.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 18. We are now legal, and this is obviously the Dave and Creech podcast. I am here with my co-host Dave Sheridan, and I am, as usual, CJ Creech. We've got an interview with Zack Ward today that is over an hour long. It's actually very interesting if you're looking to either make your own movie or learn a little bit more about the inside of the business, and also your usual weird and entertaining news. How has this week been, Dave?
You know, the thing is this. I don't even know. Here we are on a podcast, and I should be the guy going like, let me tell you about my week, or let me tell you how it was. You know, or it's kind of like that question where people go, hey, how are you? And you go, I'm okay, or I'm good, when you're not good. You know what I mean? Or you had a tough week or whatever it is, but you also don't want to tell people about it, or you don't want to talk about it, et cetera, et cetera. And I guess my job is to always have a story or have something to talk about, but I'm talking about the lack of having anything to talk about right now, or that I don't even want to. It's not that I don't want to talk about stuff because I'm like, oh, I want to forget it, or, I don't want you guys to know about it or anything like that. I'm just too tired. That's my problem. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of thinking about it myself. So I'm just exhausted right now. And I don't really want to talk about a mundane week because ultimately nothing happened. I am going to go next week and shoot a Netflix movie with Jeff Garlin and Kaylee Cuoco, or whatever her name is, from Big Bang Theory. So I guess hopefully I'll have more to talk about next week, you know?
Yeah, I mean, hey, so you're doing a movie with them. Definitely try to get their information to get them on the podcast.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Jeff Garlin will come on the podcast and he'll talk for the full hour and a half and he'll be funny, but I don't necessarily know if he's our demographic. Or honestly, he's a little bit older than me, so I kind of look up to him. He's more of I wouldn't say he's a father figure, but more of like an older brother, a very young uncle figure to me. You know what I mean? He's a mentor. I met Jeff when I was 22, and he was definitely one of the guys that got me going, gave me a lot of confidence, and was a supporter all the way back then of the young Dave Sheridan and getting me into theater, and and I wouldn't say he helped me do anything, but he was just a supporter and also following in his steps, because he did a lot of one-man shows and stuff like that, theater shows. And when you see that somebody's doing something, then you go, oh, okay, I can do something like that. Because I wasn't quite a stand-up comedian. I didn't know how to do my comedy on stage. I didn't know where that outlet was. And I went and saw Jeff perform at Steppenwolf Theater in Chicago. And I kind of said, okay, this is how I can kind of be on stage. I don't need to be a stand-up comedian. I can be theater, and you call it a one-man show. You know what I mean? Which is really, you're doing stand-up, but you're in a theater. You're not in a stand-up club where there's a 2-drink minimum and a plate of nachos. You're in a nice theater where they rip a ticket and an usher takes you to your seat, and it's a theater. It's a little bit. The response is a little different. It's the same medium. You're up on stage performing and trying to make people laugh, but all of a sudden, they have this mindset of this is theater.
All right, and first thing I want to talk about is actually it's fairly recent and happened within the past week, and it actually involved you.
What was that?
I actually found out about it today and listened to it, but you got name dropped on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh, that was this week? I thought that was last week.
It was between our podcast, though, I do believe.
Oh, yeah. I had a lot of people send me the link. I had a lot of people send me the link. I didn't listen to it. It's not the first time. He's mentioned me a few times on that show because we did a movie. We did Frank McCluskey together, and he saw things then. You know what I mean? That was when I was young and an up-and-coming guy, and there was a lot of support for me, but there was also a lot of chefs in the kitchen deciding how things should be, and I wasn't really tied in with the best producers and stuff like that. So I think Joe is somebody that's in a position where he could speak his mind because he's not really doing movies or in the Hollywood circuit anymore. He's a self-made man with his own stand-up and his MMA hosting and his podcast, and he's not somebody that will hold back and pretty much say anything he wants to say.
You don't remember this. We auditioned for something. It was a movie, not the same role, but it was a movie. The guy, Dave Sheridan, Tom.
Oh, yeah.
And we were there, and I said to you, who's that fucking guy? And you went, I don't know who the fuck. He was the star of the movie. And he heard us.
I've talked about, I got that movie. I did that movie.
Did you? Yeah.
I talked about that story because, not you auditioning, but that whole movie story, because that kid was talented.
Yeah.
He was funny as shit.
And he was doing okay. I don't know what it did.
Well, that movie was dog shit. And one of the reasons why it was dog shit is because all these executives, because he was funny, and they made him the star of the movie, but he was a nobody as far as people didn't know who he was. They all were telling him what to do. Like, I watched a guy with a fucking Rolex on and expensive cufflinks
what was the movie
and
again?
Suspenders. Frank McCluskey, CI.
That's it. Because I did a movie with the producer. I did his movie before that. I did a movie where we were trying to put a hit on the dog, C-Spot Ron. Yeah, me, Paul Savino.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And then I met you. You just happened to be there, and I was there.
Yeah.
And he was across the way from us, saying, "Who's this fucking Dave Sheridan?" And as I saw he was the star, and I didn't know who he was. I didn't get it. I read for an attorney, I think, part of attorney.
Well, when I was on the set, the kid was really funny. He's really talented. He's a very funny, real slapsticky, big, Jim Carrey style comic actor. And this guy with the Rolex and the cufflinks and the tailored suit and suspenders, super rich guy, right? He's giving him line readings.
Yeah, that's I know who it is.
I mean, he's telling this kid, literally, when you come in, I want you to go, what is this? I mean, he's acting it out, and he's telling him how to do it, and then he sits there in front of the camera and makes sure the guy does it exactly the way he wants him to do it. And you see Dave Sheridan going, what the fuck is this shit? I can't believe I got to do this. Because the kid was naturally funny. And when you got someone who's funny, one of the last thing you want to do is tell them how to be funny. Just leave them the fuck alone.
Well, of course.
Make them feel comfortable. Make them feel comfortable.
You're talking
about
alone. Somebody with common sense. I mean, what do you?
Well, they just have so much money. They have so much money, and they have so much influence, and they want to make that monkey dance.
I haven't seen. I don't know if he's working. I don't know. I haven't heard much of him.
I don't know.
But it's just how about when that?
He was a nice guy, though.
But was he a good guy?
A real nice guy. I worked with him. I had a great time. He was a real nice guy.
It's just like comics years ago. The guy managers of the club used to tell them how to do their act. What the fuck? I never told the guy ever.
Yeah.
Never told the guy. Listen, don't do. There's certain things like at the Riv, you couldn't do. Just don't knock the hotel.
Right.
You don't knock the hotel. Don't say it's a shithole and this and that. Like I hired a guy. He went on the radio. He was saying, "What a shithole." My boss called me. And he said, this guy, who's this fucking guy on the radio? And I went, He said, he's gone. Don't bring him back. So I called the guy. I said, why did you do that? I gave you a job.
Yeah.
Now, why the fuck did you do that?
They think they're being cute.
And I don't get it. So you can't come back, you know.
Yeah.
But I never would tell someone, hey, Joe, that joke you did, you know, that's not funny. Don't do that joke.
I get a lot of that comparison, especially early on. Obviously, Jim Carrey and I have similarities, but we're really different in a lot of ways, especially with our bank accounts. But also just our trajectory of what we've done and stuff like that. But we're different in a lot of ways. I think Jim's had some harder times finding that right role for his dramatic stuff. I do think that I probably can transcend into more dramatic roles a little differently than Jim, you know what I mean? So, and I certainly can't pull off some of the things, you know, some of Jim Carrey's performances and his more famous comedies are just at a level where I couldn't touch it, you know, so.
Yeah, I mean, I liked two of Jim's serious movies. I liked Eternal Sunshine and The Number 23. But
I didn't see 23. I didn't see 23, by the way, so maybe I should check that one out. But Sunshine was great.
Yeah, it really was. And I was about to say that I'm surprised you haven't done more drama, but then I was thinking that we had talked about it before where everybody tries to lump you into the comedy thing because, you know, you've done comedy and they're like, oh, that's what we see him as. But no, I think you'd be killer, no pun intended, in some dramatic roles.
Yeah, well, I've got a few on the horizon. Nothing's ever really, they're all independent, but I would say I was offered an opportunity to be in this movie that Zack Ward co-wrote called Stillwater to play like the lead role in that. However, I'm in the middle of building this house and it would have been me going to LA to shoot that Netflix thing. And then I would have had to go to Oklahoma for 2 weeks. And that would have put me out of this home build for almost all of May, which would have just basically had the house not getting done for another month. And I really just need to focus. The Netflix one with Jeff Garlin is a different situation because it's a film series. It's a mystery series that will be multiple films. And so I have a very small role in the first one, but it starts to open up into a bigger role in the second one. And so, and it's Netflix, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people watch Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
The other one was a Lifetime movie and it was non-union. And I would have had to pay my own travel to Oklahoma, probably put myself up in Oklahoma. So there was it was low budget. They're shooting in 14 days, which is not a problem. Hey, great movies can be shot in 4 days, you know. I tend to not buy into trying to shoot something quickly. I like to take my time to shoot something. Like when I shoot Halloween Party 1986, I've been offered already tons of people saying, hey, I can get you this much money and we can shoot it in 10 days or we can shoot it in 14 days. And I think, you know, ultimately you are going to, you know, you have to have the right script to shoot in 14 days. And case in point is Zach's script, the restoration, where he had that thing kind of take place in, you know, the house with a smaller cast. You know, Halloween Party 1986 is a huge cast. It's got big parties with big extras, and it's not something that if you try to rush, and I wouldn't say rush, but if it's just not something that physically will, shooting it in 14 days would be doing it justice. And I spent, I don't know, 7 years writing the script. So, it's not something I want to, I've been writing it since 1986. That's why it's called Halloween Party 1986.
All right. Well, let's go on and continue into our next news items.
Blue Man Group, though. The guy still in the Blue Man Group outfits?
Because we just talked about them last week.
So what's the end result on that?
They haven't caught him.
Well, I just
and apparently
funny. He's done it multiple times or something, or what?
I don't know. I don't think he has. But he stole like $11,000. He stole $11,000 or something like that worth of Blue Man Group costumes.
Oh, it's $1,000. Man, you're really... I know you're friends with Jordan. I love Jordan. I know he's in the Blue Man Group and we busting, but he's one of the Blue Man guys because he's at Universal.
Yeah, Jordan's in Orlando.
They're there's probably how many blue men are there? There's probably about
There's
3 or 4 guys in each group or 5.
Yeah, there's like different ones for different cities. Plus, there's like the main group.
Yeah, and they're Vegas and stuff. I mean, there's got to be at least 700 blue men, right?
Yeah, like I mean, when I interviewed Jordan the very first time, he mentioned he had to go to like an actual school to be a blue man. So there's a whole yeah.
You audition and then you get accepted. Blue Man School could be an interesting, at least a documentary or an interesting reality show. What about a Blue Man reunion? Because there's obviously a lot of ex-Blue Men as well. And if there really is something in the realm of, say, 700 Blue Men working as Blue Men right now, what if they had something like in New Orleans during the Jazz Festival and they actually had a Blue Man collective, a Blue Man gathering, where everyone that's a performing Blue Men, they all are there and they have one giant performance of like 700 Blue Men doing drum solos and all sorts of PVC and ping pong balls, whatever it is, air compressors with the toilet paper. They're sort of like Mum and Sean's. Do you remember Mum and Sean's at all?
I don't.
I'm glad you don't, because see, you're a little young. You shouldn't remember it. Anyway, Blue Man Group. Here's the thing about the guy that steals the. I like how you're like, it must have been $11,000, and they're claiming it's $1,000. Let me tell you what the Blue Man Group is. It's 4 black turtlenecks from the Target or Walmart. Okay, that literally their outfits are $29. I'm smelling insurance fraud here from the Blue Man organization. I think the whole thing is a setup, a scam for them to collect insurance, because the Blue Man Group uniforms or outfits don't cost $1,000. They are black turtlenecks and like black Levi jeans or Lees. They're probably Lees or Wranglers or something. You know what I'm saying? Come on, they're like Dockers, black Dockers and a black turtleneck. There's no that doesn't equal $1,000. But can I ask you a question? What do you think about the Blue Man Gathering? Would you think that? I mean, I don't know who would go to it. I don't know if there are. What do they call Blue Man superfans? Are there? I mean, like, with the Grateful Dead, they were like Deadheads, and Jimmy Buffett's got the parrot heads or parrot tops. I don't know what they're called.
I don't know what they call, but I would call them the Bloupies.
The Bloupies, yeah, that's good. Okay, so like, I mean, are there some diehard Bloupies out there that would, go ahead and get a flight to New Orleans, book like the Sheridan for 4 days, and just watch 700 Blue Men just all around the city, just going nuts and doing stuff? That would be cool. See, I'm more interested in the Blue Man Group if they do stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be kind of interesting to watch. I'm not going to lie, too.
Can you imagine a guy stealing all their turtlenecks? And then what happens? Then they're going to be claiming they're out $1 million. We're out $1 million.
Well, only time will tell if the this Blue Man Bandit will strike again.
Oh, he's out there. He's out there. I would lock your doors. I would lock your doors if you had anything blue. If you've got, I would be very careful going to bed at night if you were wearing like a seaweed kelp mask, because that's like an off-green aqua. But he might mistake that in the dark for you being a blue man, and he may steal your pajamas in the middle of the night. So be very careful. This is a very dangerous criminal out there right now. This is a very serious offense, and I don't think it's going to be totally contained to Wichita, Kansas, because that's, by the way, where it took place. It was in Wichita, as if the Blue Man even deserved to be in Wichita. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I would think Donnie Marie Osmond, yes, perform in Wichita, but Blue Man Group, how many Bloupies really live in that state, Wichita?
I don't know. That is a good question. All right. Well, the only other thing that I want to talk about was, as of Monday, The Walking Dead Season 7 has officially started production. So that means it's probably about 2 weeks until it's leaked who actually met their demise at Negan's hands.
Oh, no. You think so? You think it'll be leaked?
I really do. I mean, the people that stalk the set, they'll find out one way or another. They'll, like I said.
Oh, they're going to find out, right? Because they're going to find out who goes home.
Yeah.
Right. Whoever flies out, and like if who's the guy to play Glenn?
Stephen Yeun.
like if Steven's there for a week and then he goes and shoots a movie or he's on another TV show for NBC, I don't know, some sort of veterinarian drama that Steven could star in as a vet, I don't know, but that's how they're going to pick up on it, right? They're going to know who's not there, who's at the airport.
Yep. And then it won't be that long wait, because I guarantee you, once it gets out, it's gonna explode on Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. A lot of people will know who meets their demise before it winds up airing in October.
Yeah, it's tough to pull off first of all, a show that has a diehard fan base like this. They're gonna, there's someone's out there ready to find out that spoiler thing. It's not like who killed JR, because who shot JR when that happened, that was a gun with a hand, and so they didn't have to fire that cast member. They didn't have to let that cast member go. By killing someone off like this, like you're saying, it's not worth. They're not going to. The AMC is not the type that cares that much where they're going to spend money keeping that actor on set or making it look like he's working. So. Yeah, there's no way of getting around it, really,
no.
Is there? Unless, that wouldn't work either. They don't have to shoot the episodes in order.
Yes.
You know that, right?
Well, depends.
They could shoot a bunch
if they make Negan shave,
yeah.
Because he mentioned shaving, and
no, that doesn't matter. How would that matter? He could shave. He only had what do you think he had? He only had like a 5-day growth on his face. You know what I mean? And they could do that. They could do that kind of stubble makeup stuff pretty quick. That to look actually very good. When you're talking about a thin beard like that, those can be put on fairly quick and look very real. So we don't even know if the one he was wearing was a real beard or fake beard.
Oh, it was.
So, but I do agree that Negan will shave because that's when he made that joke and. At the same time,
well, they wanted him to shave.
We want him.
They wanted him to shave, but he was actually
look like the character.
He was actually in between working on The Good Wife at the time when he flew down, and so he couldn't shave because he was already filmed on The Good Wife doing that. So when he filmed Walking Dead, he had to do that and then finish up with The Good Wife afterwards. So this year, now that he's not
got it, so they wrote that line in there on purpose just to do the shaving thing and make it a part of the little story.
Yeah.
So either way, here's the deal. We've got Zack Ward on the show, and he's going to talk to us about his latest and greatest film that was released earlier this week on VOD. You can get it on video demand on almost every format, whether it's DirecTV, not Netflix, DirecTV, Dish TV, Time Warner, iTunes, and there's a few others. That I don't know what country you got to be in, but I would definitely recommend going and renting this movie, especially if you like those kind of a thriller. This is more of a thriller movie and a lot of tension in it and stuff like that. And his directing really brings that out. And so we're going to talk to him about his new movie. It's called Restoration. He co-wrote it, he directed it, he acts in it, he edited it, and we're going to jump in and chat with him.
Hey, Zach. Hey, guys, who am I speaking with?
No.
What?
The question is, who are we speaking with? What do you mean, who are we speaking with?
I just want to know who's on the phone. How you doing, guys?
I'm going to tell you who's on the phone. Dave and Creech. That's who's on the phone, Mr. Zack Ward. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
How's your day been? Are you busy as fuck trying to promote this movie?
I am busy as fuck trying to promote this movie and a little hungover.
A little hungover? What? Why are you hungover? What happened?
Well, because I drank the alcohols last night. I was having a celebratory drink, which was late.
And it turned into more than one, huh?
Yeah, at least like 1.5.
Well, all right. It's good to know. Hey, did your film have any kind of official premiere, like where you had a screening somewhere or anything like that?
No, we didn't do that. We just did it on social media and sort of blasted it out there. You know, lower budget independent feature films, it's difficult and expensive. But I think we're going to do another premiere for fans of the film and later, closer to our DVD launch.
Cool. Yeah. I just wanted to know if you did something just for your own personal self with people that helped make the movie, et cetera, you know.
Well, I threw a party last night. My girlfriend set it up for me, and it was we put a big TV on the back deck, and we had a bunch of friends over and some food, and watched the movie. So we decided.
You watched it. Now, obviously, you have access to a free version of the movie, but did you actually watch it on the rental? You were able to do it on the VOD?
Yeah, I did exactly that. I downloaded it off of DirecTV. I paid $5.99 for the movie.
So right now, your film, Restoration, is available on VOD. What formats is it available on VOD? Obviously, you said DirecTV. Is it on Dish as well?
Yeah, it's on Dish. It's on Amazon. It's on iTunes. It's on Hulu. It's on there's another couple, but I can't remember the names. I'll just look it up in a second. But it's on a bunch. Let me put you on speakerphone. Looking at my text messages, and it is in. Yeah, it's iTunes, Vudu, Xbox, Google Play, Amazon, Dish, DirecTV, iDemand, and Vubiquity. That's the one that I've never heard of before. Vubiquity. So that's the word.
And I mean, I'm not really privy to all the pricing and stuff, but you said it's $5.99 on DirecTV, right?
I think it's $3.99. It may be $3.99. It's either $3 or $5.99 for a rental, not a purchase.
Yeah, and yeah, that's a buy, not a lease. That's a lease, not a buy, as they say on the car commercials. Now, really quick, is it the same price at all the places, or is it if you were a consumer and a frugal consumer, is there places that are more expensive and places that are less expensive to actually rent?
I don't know. I would have to go check out every single one, but that wouldn't really make a lot of sense for their business models. Otherwise, the lowest price would just get all the purchases or rentals, and the guy with the higher price would get screwed. So they probably are all the same.
Yeah, you would think that, but here's the situation. If you have DirecTV, chances are you don't have Dish or Time Warner.
That's a good point.
And a lot of people, the thing that I've discovered with video on demand is the third word in that is demand. And people want something out of convenience. And so if you've got your 80-inch TV set up with your DirecTV, but you don't have an iTV, and the only way to go to iTunes is watch it on your laptop, well, chances are you're going to say, hey, I'm going to watch Restoration on DirecTV. I only have to do is hit this remote and go to the menu, and I don't have to get my credit card out or put a credit card number in. Or,
that is true.
You know, so I feel like this VOD, you know, which is a great way for independent films to make money. VOD is a great access to eliminate the studios and the large distributors, because honestly, it's going to be at a certain point where the artist yourself could just maybe have a deal directly with DirecTV saying, hey, I'm sending you my next film from my laptop. I'm sending you my next film from my laptop, and you're going to announce it as rental, you know? And I think the big thing is people like convenience. What I'm seeing about technology is the convenience factor wins out over anything. The more convenient people can make it. And that
the more convenience and ubiquitous. It's the same thing that happened with porn and the VHS.
I wouldn't know anything about that, Mr. Zack Ward.
Well, okay, I know you are a holy roller, my friend, so I'll explain it to you. Back in the 80s, there were two, there was Beta and there was VHS.
No. I know about VHS. I don't know anything about porn.
I'll explain it to you next time I have you when you come back up to my room. I'll just
wait a second. No, that sounds like you're talking about shooting a porn. Oh, hold on.
That's right. But it's always the same thing. That you're right. It's always the access and the easeability and the lower price that wins out. And now that they have, you're right. They can click a button and they get what they want. It's a couple of bucks extra, but they don't have to drive over the red box, the Blockbuster that no longer exists. They're going to pull the trigger. So, but
and that also goes for downloading pirated versions of. When someone has to go to some site and download, there are people that would say, I'm going to go get a free movie, but there's the majority of credit card 9-to-5ers out there that have their credit cards and their car payments, and they get home and they make a dinner and they sit down and they've watched Wheel of Fortune, now let's go rent a movie. They really don't want to have to go on a computer and go through a bunch of hoops to steal a movie.
Right.
So, the access and ease, there's always going to be that fringe that's going to rip off movies anyway. And and I want to tell you something. Is this your first independent movie that you've directed?
It's the first one I've directed. It's the second one I've produced.
And what I found when I produced my independent movies and directed stuff, that, like, for instance, The Walking Deceased, was I got emails or Twitter things from people in Russia, in South America, before the movie even came out. You know what I mean? And saying, "Oh, I loved it." And I was like, "How did you see it? It's not in Europe yet." And they sent me a link to the pirated site, and it just infuriated me that independent movies get ripped off almost quicker than studio movies because there's absolutely no police there to help to tell you to pull the independent movie off. Like, your shit is going to end up on YouTube. Somebody's going to put it on YouTube probably in 5 places for free, and it will take you 3 months to 4 months to contact YouTube to show that you own the movie and to get them to take it down, whereas, like, Warner Brothers already cock-blocked that. You know what I mean? So,
well, we had a little bit of that with our the other movie that I produced, Don't Blink, and my producing partner, Carl Lucas, he was on that, like White on Rice, and he was getting it pulled down pretty fast when it got put up on YouTube. But yeah, there's this wall, this onslaught of piracy and theft, and there's only so much you can do to stop it. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think the big problem is, and I'm a double-edged sword, is like, I roll my shoulders when Batman versus Superman, that made $700 million worldwide, ends up on a free thing. I'm like, well, hey, that's part of the business for those people. But when the people go out of their way to put up free versions of an independent movie that you guys had to go get money, had to raise money, and there's investors on the line that it's not like millionaires. There's people that put up $50,000, $60,000, whatever it is, and it's just it sucks that affects that bottom line. Somebody closely to you that you probably have some sort of interest in the movie making, whatever it makes. If it ends up making $1 million or $2 million throughout its entirety of all its sales processes, the foreign sales, DVD, VOD, you want to get a little bit back, and it's not going to be all that much. And when you see something like that, it finally hits home that, like, it's almost like a McGruff thing or an after school, one of those after school specials. Like, didn't you learn something, Dave? Stealing is stealing, no matter what, no matter how big the movie is. I guess you're right, Dave. Stealing is stealing. They should do that Davey and Goliath with him, like, downloading porn and stuff,
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
So, well, that's exciting. So why don't we back it up, and how did Restoration come to be? You directed it, and you co-wrote it, right?
Yeah, James Kellenbrustick and I wrote it together. We produced it. I directed it. I acted in it. I edited it. So it was, and then once I finished my director's pass of the edit, I passed it over to a friend of mine named James Kondelik, who goes by the nickname Klondike. But yeah, it was wearing all hats. So it started from, I was writing another script in 2014, pretty big story, and I was really kind of, I was crushed by it. I was in it too deep. And I saw this movie that an acquaintance of mine had done, and it was crap. it really inspired me to stop making perfect be the enemy of good. And so I called my investors that I had worked with in the past, and I told them my ideas with getting distribution attached and what type of genres to make, and then pretty much started writing over Christmas of 2014 and 2015. I wrote both scripts. Restoration we wrote in 5 days, and Bethany we wrote in 7. And then James polished Bethany because he was directing that one, and then I polished Restoration. And then we were shooting in April and May of last year. So it's been a year since we started, and now the movie is done. So it's been a lot of work.
And back it up a bit, was Bethany shot around the same time too? Like you guys were like double barreling?
Actually, yeah, double barreled it, exactly. We shot them back to back with 3 days now in between.
So you carried the crews over then, basically, and the equipment.
The what?
The crew, you carried the crew over with the equipment.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
That's smart. Okay, got it. So
yeah, it was hard. Yeah, it was. It works financially, and some of it worked really well for the crew. I think that they got more bang for their buck, and also we got to have a team that we were more comfortable working with, because at the end of both films we knew each other pretty well. But you got to remember, there were 6 to 8 weeks. We shot each movie in 14 days, and 3 days down in between, and no sleep, man. Like just no sleep. So it was an exhausting process.
And you're saying James got the first 2 weeks, right? So he got
No, I shot the first 2 weeks.
Oh, that's great. And you got the fresher crew. You look good. Hey, man, you're on camera, right? You don't want to be totally worn out after 3 weeks of shooting the other one, right?
Well, the funny thing is I then, I'm the male star of the other films. So there was no sleep for literally a month and a half. It was just, I don't want to do that again.
Right.
I'm really proud of the films, but I need to sleep. I'm too old. I'm not 21.
Have you gotten a lot of the reviews already? Are the reviews all out?
We've gotten like 7 or 8 reviews. Bloody Disgusting reviewed us. I know we're doing Rue Morgue. We've been getting great reviews, actually.
Good.
I've been very happy with it. They've had their criticisms, and honestly, a lot of their criticisms I would not have argued with. You guys both saw the movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so and they'll say something like, this one, it kind of monologued like there's a little piece of it that monologued like the movie The Incredibles by Pixar. I'm like, that's a $200 million movie, and that did huge numbers. And if you're comparing me to that, I will accept it. And yes, I agree. There's moments that I could have changed up the monologuing exposition to wrap everything up, but that would have required more shooting days and more locations, and I didn't have the time or the money.
Exactly. And that's the funny thing is when somebody writes a review, you can't stand over their shoulders and go, oh, you know why I did that? I forgot to tell you it was 3 day weeks of 14 hours, and I had this much money, and I tried to split it down and be economic, and it was a storyteller's process or tool, enabled to work within the confines of my budget.
Exactly. But everybody's critiques so far have been, most of them have made sense. There are things that I know exist in the film already. There's things that if I had the money and the opportunity, I would have changed. Are they insufferable? Absolutely not. People's overall, we're getting, I think our worst was 3 out of 5, and then we got 4.5, 4 out of 5. So people really like the film, and the things that they comment on the most are the caliber of the writing, the caliber of the acting, the style that it's shot with, the pace of it, the music, the layers to the story, that type of stuff. They're saying things like, writers take note. This is not your typical garbage. This is actually more interesting. You don't expect it to happen, blah, blah, blah. So I think that
So it's more. They say it's more interesting garbage. You're saying, not your typical garbage.
Yes, we're the most interesting garbage. It's like Donald Trump's garbage. Because if it's Donald Trump's garbage, you know it's the best of garbage ever. His garbage is fabulous.
Yes, and when we talk about Donald Trump on our podcast, we have a little theme song that we play. So, Creech, this would be the part where you can get the soapbox, our little theme song for the Donald Trump thing in there.
This is a political moment.
America, fuck yeah!
Paid for by the people that think America is fucking awesome.
America, fuck yeah!
I'm Dave Sheridan, and I approve this message, I think.
Are you excited about Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton going to face off? I mean, you couldn't ask for better ratings. And I mean, this thing is so produced, just to right? I mean, think about it.
Yeah, it feels like it. It feels like it. It seems that I'm sorry, man. Like Donald Trump is he's giving redheads a bad name, and I just think he's an inbred hillbilly.
Hey. But I don't think he's a natural redhead. You know what I mean?
I wonder if the carpet matches the curtains. Yeah. He's probably got some silver tacklewear down there.
I think the color of his hair is because he goes in that tanning spray thing. You ever see those raccoon eyes he has every 2 weeks when he gets the new tan on? And he's got those raccoon eyes. But I think the red hair is just because he doesn't cover that up in that tan spray. It's he just gets his hair dyed and his skin dyed at the same time.
That's probably a good point. But so it has been successful when it comes to what the reviews have said so far. I've been very happy about it.
No, that's great. And but obviously the biggest thing that matters is the audience review, you know what I mean, and what the audience takes out of it. And I'm sure, you have fans, James has fans, and the VODs has fans. So when will you know how well it does on all these formats? How long does it take for information to come in on that kind of stuff?
I think that's usually per quarter. I think that's the last when we did it for Don't Blink, it was typically every 3 or 4 months. Because they do their reportings. It might be 90 days, but there you go, 3 months. And then we come out in DVD in July 5th.
And then where are you going to be distributed on DVD? Do you know what stores are going to be carrying it?
I know Walmart's carrying it. I'm not sure if we're doing Redbox as of yet. But right now we've got a Walmart purchase, which is awesome.
Yeah, Walmart is the biggest seller of DVDs in America. And then I think Target and Best Buy kind of fall in somewhere underneath that.
Right.
But ultimately, Walmart is the one that carries. They're the number one seller of video games and the number one seller of DVDs. And I'm pretty sure you're going to get a Redbox distributing. It's just a matter of how many you get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now, was this released in the theaters, on any level,
No, we didn't do a theatrical release for this one, even limited.
Right. And that's usually just done just so that the listeners know, like, and I've been through this before, is when they do a limited theatrical release, they're actually, those are money losses. They're not expecting lines of people at a theater. That just qualifies you for different placement on the VOD rental slot.
Right. So you basically get Premier VOD, which I think is Premier VOD lands in your top echelon of areas where people scroll through, say on direct television or whatever, and you get your poster up there. And we didn't get that. But again, it's always about how much money you're willing to spend to get how much back. So that's why we didn't go limited theatrical.
I hope your poster is seen in a lot of places, because I would say that it's a pretty dang cool poster. And was there a specific, who did the poster for you?
Actually, our distributor did. The company's Uncorked. They do great posters.
Got it. So they did the thing in-house. Uncorked. Now, did you have distributing in place with Uncorked? Were they the ones that put up the financing for the whole thing, or did you need to prove you had distributing in place to go get the financing? Like, how did Uncorked get involved?
Well, James had another film that he'd done called Pernicious, and Uncorked had been interested in buying it, but then the producer sold it to another company. But James had met up with the owner of Uncorked and had discussed with him other properties. So when I pulled the trigger on doing these, I had the money from investors that were looking to raise money for another project. So we got in touch with Keith from Uncorked and told him what we were looking for. We asked him what kind of films he was looking for. And he explained that he was looking for haunted house movies with ghost girls. And so we figured out how to write that. And we turned those concepts into 10 log lines and synopses. And then he picked 4 that he liked, we picked 2 that we liked, and then we wrote them. But we went into it with MGs in place, which means minimum guarantees. It's a minimum amount of money put down by the distributor based upon the attachments. So the attachments being the actors. So for restoration, there really isn't any big names in restoration. Not to sound like a jackass, but I'm pretty much the biggest name in the film. And that qualified for the MG on that film. And then we had Shannon Doherty and Tom Green in the next one, which is called Bethany, and that qualified for the MG on that one. So we walked into it with a pretty good business model in place, and then the whole goal was to, I think you agree with me here, Dave, that the concept of art is to balance all those proceeds to finance the art and the audience, so to make sure that you're satisfying all different tiers. That's the hard part.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to be beholden already to sort of the business model and what the marketplace wants. Meaning, you might want to do, I really want to do a piece about a guy that's getting a heart transplant, he's dealing with his daughter, et cetera, whatever it is. And they're like, right now it's haunted houses and ghost girls, and so it's like, okay, let me buy. But this is how you become the artist, is you go, everyone's got a restraint. Let me just tell you something about painters. People might say, a painter, he can do whatever he wants. Well, no, guess what? He's still painting on a canvas, right? He's got a square medium that he's got to paint in, and then there's colors, and he's got to mix colors, and he's painting in 2D. He could make it look 3D, but so he's limited, and he works within his limited realm. And you, as an independent filmmaker, you work within the confines and the structures of what you need to do to get your film made in the first place. How it works with financing, the type of actors you need, the type of script that is going to then get somebody to put up the money. That you have to answer. You have to answer to those things, but then you have to be the creative guy and go, how can I make all those things work to still do what I want to do in some way, or give me some sort of palette to work with and stuff like that, because you just want to get to that point where you're behind that camera.
Exactly. You want to take care of your investors, because they're taking a risk on you, and they're investing in your vision and your work ethic. And it's all fun, as you guys know. It's exciting and passionate, and you're writing it. And what if we could do this? And it's all about the dream and the emotion. And then you get on the set and you're shooting it, and it's living the moment of fantasticness. And then there's 5.5 months of post, dude. and you would like to punch yourself in the face for ever having started this process.
Yeah.
And if you have to watch this damn movie one more time, you will kill yourself. And you're arguing over everything.
Yeah. That's when you say, God damn it, we really had to put Tom, I have to look at Tom Green's face for the next 5.5 months? You know, like,
oh, my God. It really is. Like, people don't understand that. Like, the front-loaded part is really hard, but there's a goal at the end of it. Whereas the back-end part of it, the post, there's a part where you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to know this movie. I just kill me and set me on fire. And you have to just push through that and keep on whittling down, doing color correction, working on the sound, getting the credits set up, all this minutia crap that if it's not there, it leaves the scene feeling thin. And, and I think the movie's pretty damn good. And when I watch it, I think of all the things I would have liked to do better.
Right.
You know what I mean? And things that I should have planned for in the beginning. So it's a nonstop education.
Yeah, it's a never-ending education, and the good part is, as you execute, you move on to the next one, and you're going to bring those things forward to your next one. You're going to grow, just as you grew as an actor. You know what I mean? Through your life, you've been acting since you were a child, and so that never stops anyway. People might think that, Zack Ward doesn't need to work on being an actor anymore. Well, guess what? Every role brings something new to it, no matter what.
Yep.
A, you don't want to repeat yourself. B, every character is unique, and you want to be in that moment and put yourself in that world. And also, if you didn't challenge yourself, then Zack Ward would be bored, and he'd give a boring performance. You know what I mean? If you weren't looking for something to do. And I'm not saying like you haven't played the AIDS guy yet, who's got a retarded brother that can do a lot of math. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, no matter how simple the role may feel, and you might not feel like you're doing a lot of heavy lifting because you're going, hey, this is a fun role. I play a lot of fun roles. But you're still looking for ways to make the performance sort of exciting, between going to the craft service and getting the gummy bears. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're trying to, depending upon the type of film or project, you're trying to keep that level of reality. I just finished doing a guest star on Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And I don't know if you guys are fans of that show, but it's funny as hell. And it was an interesting process because it's such a heightened version of reality, their show, but still being honest about the stakes. So there's, they have Rickety Cricket, who is a meth head. And it's funny, but he actually is set on fire and burns half his face off. So it's amazing. I'm gathering you haven't really seen the show, but it's pretty impressive. And what I found interesting going into that, I didn't really have a character that was really developed to be super funny. He was more of a comedic foil. And yet throughout the process, stepping into that world, finding more subtleties and nuances to play with, and getting more confident in that, more and more comedy started coming out of what I was doing that I didn't know was there when I had read the original script. So that's the same thing you're talking about. Is like you're constantly developing your art form to match the opportunity, and you can't assume you know what that's going to be until you're in it. So
let me ask you a director question here. Being an actor director, and then you're directing actors. And I've worked with, I mean, I hate to put labels, and I'm being very broad strokes here, but I tend to put directors in two categories. They're either camera directors or there's actor directors. That there's directors that, like when I worked with Terry Zwigoff on Ghost World, he could care less where the camera was. He had a DP and he didn't give a crap. You know what I mean? He was just like, whatever. He told me that's what the shot is. That's the shot. And he looked at the monitor, but he was paying attention. He really was only looking at the actors, and he could care less about that angle, or you didn't scroll in quick enough, whatever it is, right? And so he likes to sit down with the actors and pick apart the sides and rehearse, the whole, okay, we're rehearsing while work's being done. And then, like Rob Zombie, who basically hires, and he always has this eclectic group of actors, but he hires actors to do what they do. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm not going to give you notes, or I'm not going to work with it. And he's more about working with the DP and the lighting and tracking in. And then you'll probably, look, I've never worked with Kubrick or some of the big guys like Scorsese. They probably do both. You know what I mean? They're so well-rounded that they're just able to basically multitask into both realms, you know, and obviously that all comes with a lot of experience. As I mentioned, Terry, he didn't do that many films, and Rob's done enough, and he's probably getting better. But, you know, I guess early on in people's career, they need to make sure they got one thing that they're passionate about. But you being an actor, do you find that are you balanced and going, I'm all about the shot, but I like the acting? Or since you're an actor, you let the actors go and play, and if you see something that's not quite right, you'll fix it? And do you let actors kind of have these sort of, you know, are there things that actors do with your script and you go, I didn't even see it ever be done that way, or I didn't write it that way, but now that you say it that way, that's so cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. That definitely happened with talent. Emily O'Brien, Adrian Gallardo were fantastic. I really enjoyed working with them. They're very honest performers. You know, there's one thing that a lot of the reviews have commented on is the obvious chemistry between Adrian and Emily. And they were fantastic on set. But there would be moments where I would be separating their goals. So if I don't want the actors to be sharing a unified expectation. Otherwise, it's like they start finishing off each other's sentences and there's no tension. It makes a scene too safe. And there has to be a level of surprise in the scenes and the reactions to be realistic. So sometimes my directing style in that aspect is to give my notes to each individual actor without the other one hearing them. And then sometimes to mess with one actor by changing up one of the cues. So his or her expectations are screwed with and shifted because they're not getting the reaction they were waiting for because I told the other actor to not do that. So that helps me keep them simmering. But remember, 14-day shoot, you don't have a lot of Kubrickian rehearsal. So one of the things that the way I wrote Restoration was to ensure that it seems like normal, real people whose lives go sideways.
Right.
It's like you're a normal guy, and if I set your house on fire, you'd react to your house being on fire. In this situation, it's a spiritual fire. So that helped it, because it's not a crazy world, that helped it be a simpler acting performance value. I do love the camera. I think that the framing tells so much story. I think it explains, it is such a visual medium that, you know, these shots that I'm talking about from the film, the teddy bear is sitting on the countertop and he's walking away with a bottle in his hand. It's a great shot. It's telling you a lot about what he's going through without having to say anything. She gets out of the car and walks towards the hospital. Camera stays in the back seat. She's walked away. She gets smaller in frame. We cut to the inside. Now, I had other coverage on Masters, but it didn't give the same sense of isolation. It didn't give the same fear. You're walking into a hospital to see somebody you care about. The camera got to tell a story. As you may have noticed, there's a bunch of times in my style of directing, and the camera is, I like to leave the audience guessing as to what they're looking for. So I can leave people, their faces obscured or out of frame. They can step up and leave frame, do something, and walk back through frame. Because for that 2-3 seconds, we're going to have it explained to us. But it's nice to know that the world exists outside the eye of the lens. And I think that makes the audience hyper-focused on what actually happens in it, trying to recreate frame upon frame inside what they're looking at. And leaving blank space, because I found that by leaving open areas in the frame where people expect something is going to happen, even if it doesn't, it raises their tension. So in this situation, I'm doing a horror film. If I was doing something else that didn't require that type of tension, I would frame it differently. But I think that by combining the two of those values, the acting and the framing, it really helps create a fluid storytelling process. I'm not as good at the camera as I'd like to be, but I am incredibly comfortable with talent. And it's one of the things that, just to corroborate what you said before, this frame is important to me. Yes, the camera, and I'm an editor, so I know exactly what I want, and I know exactly where I need it to be. But on that being said, I always make sure that my talent knows nobody else matters but them. They can take all the time in the world, just relax, and focus on this. And that way they do better faster because they don't feel any pressure. And I always explain to them, like, none of this matters without you. It's your moment. Everything that you do on that camera, that's what's going to make this a real story. So you just take all the time you want.
So that's really cool. You have me, man. I want to act in one of your films now. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you'd be great. You'd be great, man. I mean, you guys saw the movie and you saw the old woman in the film, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my mom. Yeah, that's awesome. She's 80 years old.
Wow.
And she does an amazing performance in that film. Like, she's incredible. But I had to get her there.
Is it a little different directing your mom, though, a little bit? I mean,
fuck yes. Here's the thing is, it was the first day we were shooting, and we're doing those scenes that you know exactly what they are, and they get pretty dire, not to give anything away to the podcast audience.
Right.
And my mom has been acting since she was 24 years old. So,
oh, wow.
She's a consummate professional. She's kind of famous in Canada, where I'm from. And she's doing this character, like she's doing what she's comfortable with. And it's not where the scene needs to be. It doesn't have that level of pain, of darkness to it. It's okay, but it's not good. And I literally spent, 10 minutes standing by the monitor between takes. Actually, it felt like an hour. It was probably like 30 seconds. And I'm looking at the monitor. I'm looking at her performance, and it seems two-dimensional. And I'm pretending to look at the monitor now because I'm just having a conversation with myself. What the fuck do I do? It's my mom. At this point, she's 79 years old. Do I let her skate doing a performance? It's fine. It's all right. Hey, it's pretty good for an old person, right? That's some bullshit. Well, that's the problem. My mom is completely lucid, and I'm thinking, what do I do here? Do I push her, or do I let her walk? If I let her walk, everybody's going to think that's the standard of excellence that we're striving for. Right. And I can't have it be that level. Also, more importantly, my mom's 79 years old. She's not going to be around forever. I don't know when I'm going to get another opportunity to direct her in something and work with her.
Right.
She's going to see this, and she needs to be proud. So what's my responsibility to my mother? I have to push her. I have to push her to the moment where I know she can accomplish this. And I was like, fuck, that's scary. I got to figure out how to do this. And I walked over, and we'd swapped out glass. I'm sorry, guys. We changed lenses to go in for a close-up because I'd gotten enough of my wides. And I leaned down and I whispered in her ear. And I don't get too close. I don't like to be too creepy. I don't like to make eye contact with my actors when I'm talking to them. So I like to stand to their left or right, put my hand on their shoulder, and talk quietly. That way they can have the privacy of their own reactions without me gauging their face. I want them to be able to hear me without trying to appease my expectations. The way that people say, yeah. The way they're not listening, they're trying to give you the response that you want, which fucking exhausts me. So I lean down, I talk to my mom, and I go, this is great. You're doing a really good job. I want you to remember that this is about Uncle Jimmy. This is about your childhood. This is how you two used to play together. And it's gone because he's dead. And you're never going to see him again. Gotta keep it inside. Now, her brother died of lymphatic cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And I just brought up her entire childhood and then snatched it back away. And you and I both know the performance level she did. When that tear rolled down her face, that wasn't acting.
Well, now I got to go back and watch it, and now I see it in a whole different light. You know what I mean? Not really, but like now you just changed how I view her performance. Thanks, Zach. I like how your first notes is you went right for the jugular vein. You didn't try to like, okay, hey, can we get a little more with this? You went right for the dead brother, man. Oh my goodness, the dead uncle.
Well, I know, he's somebody that I know and love, and I know how much she still loves him. And I knew that would not be so. That's something that you can't negotiate with.
Yeah,
that level of pain is lifelong. And she, it was great. She had her 80th birthday in Toronto. My girlfriend and I went over to Toronto and we threw a surprise premiere for her of the film, and everybody got to see how brilliant she was. And it's a gobsmacker of a performance. That could be in any film in the world, and it's a great performance.
That's awesome, man. And then, so how did you get from Canada to Los Angeles? How did Zach get to Canada from Los Angeles?
My parents were originally American. My father was a draft dodger. My mom was originally from Long Island and moved to Canada. So both of them became naturalized citizens, but I still had access to an American passport. So I'm technically a dual citizen.
Right. And when you
moved here, what's that?
Go ahead. I was going to jump to your childhood there, like with your acting and stuff like that. So go ahead. You moved here what?
I moved here in 1995. I started acting when I was 10 years old, started doing commercials. I begged my mom to let me get into it. I watched some plays when she was in the Shakespeare Festival in Stratford, and I watched a performance of Taming of the Shrew, and there was a body joke that I was excited to see. And when the guy delivered it, I thought he sucked. And my thought was, I could do better than this. So basically my arrogance has been my driving force my entire life. That I thought, I should give this a shot. At least I know I'm better than that idiot. So I started when I was, what's that?
No, I think that's really funny. I wonder if it's very similar to me also. I remember watching some people act. I'm not going to name who they were, but they were friends of mine. And everyone like, oh, they were awesome. And I was like, oh, I could do way better than that. Wait, is this the attention you get? I could. I was like,
yeah.
I wonder if that's what drives a lot of actors going like.
I think, it makes sense. I mean, I was raised backstage on film sets and in theaters since the age of 5. So I spent 41 years now somehow associated with the industry. So I got into commercials when I was 10 years old. My first feature film was A Christmas Story when I was 13. And then I kept on working in Canada, doing lots of guest stars and lots of commercials. And then from the age of 18 to 20, 21, I traveled around the world by myself for a couple of years. Sailed and worked in the circus, worked at a cattle station, and taught English in Japan. And then got back to Canada, went to college, had like a semester and a half at community college. Got married at 21. That lasted for 3 months. I was a moron. And then got in a couple of TV shows, and then got a TV series, and then got married again. And then when I was 25 years old, moved to LA. Started all over again. And, that's what's been going on for the last 41 years.
That's a great journey. And then really quick, when you talked about your director style and stuff like that, when you obviously you're a fan of film, you're a fan of directors. In terms of just your directing style or styles, do you have particular directors that you watch in even current day or past day and study them and say, oh, I'm gonna use that someday, or oh, I loved how he did that scene. I'm gonna remember that. I'm gonna take a mental note.
Oh, absolutely. I also think there's a great YouTube channel called Every Frame of Painting, and it is an education. It is amazing. I cannot recommend it enough. I was watching it like 3 to 4 videos on directing every single day whilst writing and prepping my film. But I think it's, also when I'm prepping things and breaking it down, I'll be watching other movies that have a textual value of the movie that I'm thinking of, and I'll be watching them on DVD and then pressing pause and writing down the explanation of the scene or something, an idea that captivated me for a moment, and I'll put that into a list of different style ideas, and then I start compiling all that into the actual script. So basically having watched the original Mothman Diaries, Prophecy, which is an amazing movie. The first one's fantastic. And then I'm looking at the movie Bronson. You know the film I'm talking about with Tom Hardy?
Yeah, the boxing movie?
Bronson, yeah. So I take ideas from different films, put it, and then start doing a short list, and then I turn towards my script and start seeing where these ideologies start landing. And so what I'm basically doing is trying to ingest a substantive value as quickly as possible so that I then can have a shorthand with my DP. I can literally say, it's like this shot in this movie. Okay, let's set that up, and let's light it this way. Now let's tweak it and make it our own because the character is telling us something.
Right.
Does that make sense? So basically I'm a thief.
When you're working with your DP and you're in pre-production and you're looking at some things going, oh, this is like, and I would call it like a vision book or something like that, or a vision, to give the vision. Do you send your DVD or your DP like links to things going, hey, think of this for that kitchen scene, check this lighting out here.
Yeah.
So that way when you get to set, you guys, he's seen what you're talking about, and you've already kind of said, that's what we're going for in this scene or whatever. So
yeah, there's a bunch of that, but then you and I both know the reality is what happens when everything goes to crap and you have to make it up on the fly. And so, for example, that scene inside the file room in the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
She goes to look up okay. We shot that in 26 minutes. And that was, we're getting kicked off out of this stage. What's the word I'm looking for? Sorry. It's kicked off the shooting stage. And we had like 35 minutes before we had to go. So we set the lights and we shot out the entire scene in 26 minutes. Which, to those of you who don't make movies, that's effing insane. And it was run and grab, and I think it worked out really well. That should have been half a day.
Right. But was that near the end of the day then, and that's why you were getting kicked out kind of thing?
Yep.
And so you shot this in L.A. then? I guess we got to back it up. Shot the film in L.A., right?
Yeah, we shot in L.A.
Right.
And then we had shot another part of the film. We shot the end of the movie. Now, I don't want to say what goes on, but as you guys know, there's a baby in the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's a real baby. That's a 9-day-old baby. And there's very specific rules and regulations about having babies underneath those lights. So depending upon the wattage of the bulb and the distance from the infant, was a mathematical theorem telling us exactly how many seconds we could have that child on camera. So we had to have a fake baby in there, set up all our focus lines with the lights on and crank the lights off, get the baby in, put a flag over it, strike the lights, and then go 3, 2, 1, acting. And literally had someone there with a stopwatch timing it backwards to make sure that we could get the child out in that period of time so that we weren't hurting the infant. That slowed us down quite a bit so that by the time we got to the other scene, we had no time. And that's the thing that you guys understand as filmmakers, but Mr. and Miss America don't know, is that you have one day, depending on how much money you have X amount of time at X places. So if you go to the Sizzler restaurant and you've got a week to shoot one scene there, you're going to cover it like crazy. If you've got one day to shoot 4 scenes there, make it all look like different times throughout the movie, you need to lock and load. you need to be rocking and rolling and getting that stuff done. Otherwise, you are dead in the water. So moving fast.
I would say, really quick though, I would just say anybody out there, aspiring writers, that have any type of stuff in a sizzler that would require you to shoot at sizzler for a week, I would say, move on to another film project right now, because that might not be the best script. I don't know what comes down at sizzler for shooting there for a week. But back to Zach. Go ahead.
You're fancy. You're fancy.
Now, how is directing something that just organically grew out of your involvement in the business, or was this something from a younger age that you were already aspiring to be a part of?
No, this kind of grew out. This grew out of my involvement in the business, and I've worked with Steven Spielberg and Cameron Crowe, and I've worked with Michael Bay. I've worked with some great directors, but I've worked with some really shitty directors. I worked with Victor Salva, the guy who did Jeepers Creepers and Powder. He is a shitty director. He's a shitty human being, and he's a shitty director.
Child molester or something too?
Yes, he went to jail for it. He is a lazy, shitty director, and he's a lazy, shitty human being. I worked with Uwe Boll. Uwe Boll is a crappy director. They teach you a lot about what not to do. You see them fall into this pit of self-created ego value where they're really impressed with the title of their position on the back of their chair, but they have no interest and passion in doing the project, and they have prepped nothing. And it's a great education working with shitty directors, because you stand there going, oh, dude, I could do this better than this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't really say that with Cameron Crowe or Michael Bay or Steven Spielberg. But the bad guys, you're like, I could do it this. I know I could do it better than this schmuck.
Right. And of course, you don't know how to do something right until you also see how to do it wrong. You know what I mean? It's that whole thing of you don't ever really see a sunrise unless you stayed up all night, and then you're seeing the sunrise because you've been up for 24 hours, versus, I'm going to wake up at 5:45 and catch the sunrise. Well, that's not catching the sunrise. The real way is staying up all night. So you can learn just as much from somebody doing something the wrong way, and and I bet you learn more valuable things, because most of the stuff you're probably keying in on is just how to relate to the rest of the crew and how to relate to humans and how to be a good person on set. You know what I mean? And so.
Yeah. And that's the part of it that I've always known how to do, because I've been raised on sets. So I've always had a great relationship with crews. No matter what I was doing, producing, acting, directing, it doesn't matter. I always get along with my crews really well.
So what is next? Now that you've got this done, it must be a release. The thing is released. It's on VOD. Now you're sitting back collecting the big bags of cash. What are you doing? You buying a speedboat? What are you doing? Your big bag of coke? What's going on? What's the next thing for Zack Ward?
I'm going to get the bikini wax. I'm going to do the whole bottom area. I'm going to get that smooth as a Georgia peach. And then I think I'm going to get some really inappropriate tattoos down there just to make a statement of time. In all seriousness, we're still posting Bethany, the other film right now. I've got another project I just finished writing for James. James and I wrote this movie of the week for Lifetime that he's shooting down in Stillwater, Oklahoma. And I just
called Stillwater. I've read that script. It's good, dude. Yeah.
You read Stillwater?
Yeah, he sent it to me. He's going to shoot it in Oklahoma. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, so he was right.
There was I forget the role, but my whole thing is I wasn't available, but he sent it to me, and I was like excited that saw your name on it and stuff. So,
thanks. And there's another movie that I wrote last year that got turned into a film called The Terror of Halloween. It's not a great title, but they keep on changing it, and I love that script. It's like Pan's Labyrinth. It makes Dazed Confused because it happened in 1979. Very much dark fairy tale.
Right.
And that one's shot. That one's in post as well. I've got some other films that I'm hedging like right now with the financing is waiting to drop. So there's 3 or 4 different projects. We put balls in the air and wait to see what happens. Meanwhile, let's see. I don't know. That's kind of all I got. Yeah, as you know, Dave, like, the easiest part of this, our lives, is when we have a job. It's not like everybody else where work is the pain. For us, it's getting the job is the pain. But you have to have 300 things going at one time to make one thing land.
Right.
So that's what I'm doing. And then I'm just spending time with my girlfriend and my cats and my dog and trying to get in shape, go to the gym, get rid of my writer's belly.
Editor's belly.
My little writer's belly.
Yeah. Now, the thing about me when I work, that's when I'm the most calmest. I'm a very hyper guy. People, and that's the funny thing is most people see me when I'm not working because they see me around town or at interviews or whatever it is. Or you and I hung out at the, I think it was Monster. I can't remember what it was. There was one in Boston we hung out. That's when I first met you. One of those conventions, hard times.
It was Rock and Shock. Wasn't it Rock and Shock?
Yeah, Rock and Shock. That was it. Yeah, but the thing is that people take me for that. But the funny thing is that's because I have this anxiety. I just want to work. You know what I mean? And I don't want to have to develop or sell or pitch and all this other stuff that goes along with it. You know, I like to when I'm doing my thing. All of a sudden, I'm actually more focused because I'm finally doing what I want to do. You know,
you get calm, you get relaxed, you get focused. Everything is easier. Then you go back to looking for a job, and you're like, God damn it. So
yeah. Hey, speaking of editing, what did you edit the film on in terms of? Are you in Premiere? What did you work on the film with?
Well, I was a Premiere guy, but the editor that I was going to end up working with, James Connelly, he was going to be working in Final Draft 7. Final Cut 7.
Final Cut.
So, and, you know, honestly, they're so similar. They're just different type of menu bases.
I like Premiere because it works more seamlessly with, you know, all the other Adobe things. And honestly, you can pretty much drop any, you know, type of format into the timeline, and it doesn't need to, like, re-render, or it doesn't screw up the timeline going like, what the heck is this, you know? So,
yeah, I love Premiere. I just need to learn more about it because there's so many options in the damn thing.
Yeah.
It's just an endless pool of opportunity. And I feel like I just started etching my way into the top of it to get what I want done, but there's just so much to learn.
It's true, yeah. I'm pretty rudimentary in it. I just figure I'd leave the real bells and whistles to guys that are, you know, editors. Because, you know, it's like I'll do heavy lifting and then I can always just shift it off to one of my buddies that can do all the other stuff I want way more quicker, you know, and faster and better.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah, it's important to have that guy because you could spend a month trying to do one thing that you could do in like 8 minutes.
Yep. Hey, Creech, you got any questions for Mr. Zack Ward?
Actually, I do about 2 of your past roles. Yes, first one, we've had Robert Englund on the show before. So I know you were in Freddy vs. Jason, and there's the scene where you have to speak like Robert. Did you go over any tips with him before you filmed that scene?
Yeah, actually, he taught me a whole bunch of stuff. He taught me how to walk and move like him because his whole movement basis is structured on the choreographer who did All That Jazz. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. So he showed me how to walk and move like him, very tilted to one side. And then he would say the lines, and then I would say them imitating him. And I'm pretty sure that they actually dubbed his voice over. They dubbed his voice to my mouth because it sounds too spot on, and my imitation is not that good. So, but it was a lot of fun. Robert was fantastic to work with and very, very kind.
Awesome. And then the other one, actually, I believe that the movie I'm going to ask about came out the year after that, with Resident Evil Apocalypse. Now, I was actually a fan of the game that the movie is based off of. And did you know anything about Nikolai before, like, pre the movie? Because it seems like they kind of changed his character up and I felt like I was surprised they didn't give like Nikolai a bigger role in the movie. Was there anything that they cut out that they just didn't release or anything like that?
No, he was just kind of. I didn't really know much about the character before I did the film. I never really played that game because I found it really difficult to move the controls for some reason out of me. So that just made me annoyed, and I don't play video games to get annoyed. But when I did the movie, so I didn't really know anything about Nikolai Shanopov. I'd heard that he was a bad guy in the game, and he actually was one of the bosses. I think they put him in there basically just to have another red shirt and also to give the fans a little bit of a high five on the story value.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I was like, okay, this guy's going to be a major bad guy, and then, like, you got chewed on by dogs. I was like, okay, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it kind of sucked. I should have come back, man, but, that TV show Orange is the New Black, well, I think that's because killing redheads is the new killing the black guy in the old movies.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, see, you're at the forefront of
species, man. Redheads are an endangered species. They really are.
We are.
They're the last true minorities. You know what I mean?
Yes, we are. But remember in the 80s and the 90s, you would have, like, the black guy goes into the woods and gets killed, and it became so stereotypical that it bordered on racist, and people were like, come on, it's not going to happen. So they had to change that up, and they got the good-looking white guy, can't kill him off now. They go with now they can't kill the black guy because that's racist.
Right.
They do the Spanish guy. The Spanish people are going to get angry. If you kill a redhead, he's kind of like a white person, but not really. And everybody makes fun of redhead, so go ahead, kill the ginger. So
yeah, it's like orangutans are kind of like monkeys. You know what I mean? It's like it's orangutan. You know what I mean? So very similar enough. I think you're also, the redheads are sort of like those extra crew members on Star Trek that would always get beamed down. You're like, something's happening to that guy.
The red shirts.
Yeah.
The red shirts, yeah. It's we're going to go to the planet with Spock and Hulu and Mora and Kirk and that dude. And that dude knows he's going to fucking die.
Right. Yep.
Do you guys ever watch Galaxy Quest? Remember Galaxy Quest?
I've seen it one time, so I didn't see it enough to really pick up on all the things.
Dude, Galaxy Quest is one of the funniest. Sam Rockwell, where his character's name is Guy, because he's a red shirt who's going to die. It's like, I don't even have a name. I don't even have a name. It's Guy. It's just Guy.
Yeah, that was definitely a classic film.
I got, hey, to let you know, because you talked about restoration, we'll round it back up. I'm building a house right now. I'm in North Carolina building a house. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not.
Literally, when I'm saying I'm building a house, today I was shoveling land like fill. It was a number 5 gravel. So before that, I had a number 57 crush and run. I'm learning so much about building a house, right? And I needed thicker gravel, so I ordered a number 5. They ordered 15 tons. It came in, and the guy just dumps it on my driveway. But I don't have a driveway. It's dirt right now. So I'm sitting there with a shovel and wheelbarrow hauling that stuff back out to my back porch where I'm trying to do the build before I lay the concrete. And because there's no way of getting the truck, this giant dump truck, all the way back there. So he brings it to the side, dumps it where my driveway is going to be, and I got to haul it back and forth. And while I was there, the inspector guy came to check something in the crawl space that I don't have. I have these floor trusses, but there's things called fire blocking where you got to have wood in between all the little floor trusses. And so I got to go now and that's something I got to do before I can get my certificate of occupancy, my final inspection. He came out to look at the crawl and tell me the things I need to go fix before he comes back out for my final. Anyway, long story short, I'm completely covered in dirt and shit, working. This is what I do every day now, right? I'm there literally every day working my ass off. And I come home, and basically my wife comes running out of the house that we're living in, and basically, do you have your plumber? Because I have all these trades. She goes, get your plumber on the line. The water is coming through the hot water in the shower was coming through the wall, through the drywall. It was just like I Love Lucy thing. You know what I mean? Just like it was from the garage. There was a hot water heater, and there's a pipe going in the wall. And apparently, there's some sort of hole, and it was on all day through there. They said, yeah, we heard a noise all day, but it finally just sort of bubbled through, and then when I got in there, it just burst through the wall like an I Love Lucy thing. And I had to run out to the street, find our water main, and I shut it off at the street. But the funny thing was, I was texting Creech, and I said, oh, yeah, I'll be home. We're going to get on the phone with Zach. I just want to take a shower. And so I literally shut off the waters in my house, and I'm just covered in dirt still. And I'm just like, how do I wash this? How do I take a shower now? You know what I mean? So. Oh, buddy, this sucks. So there's my restoration little story. I believe me, when I'm watching your film and you guys are knocking the walls down, I'm like, this is a little too close to home. I actually wish, there was, some possession stuff going on at my house. At least it would liven up my house build. So. Or maybe you could get the little ghost to help you out with the plumbing. Yeah, I'm hoping we built on like Indian burial ground because I'm building a new home from the ground up, so there's no there's no past history in the house or anything. But I'm thinking like, it would be cool if it was an Indian burial ground, and I could get something like that in here. So. Anyway. Dude, it's been a pleasure, man. It's been great talking with you guys. Go find a way to get clean. Yeah, I know. I might just I'm telling you, I might go to a Motel 6 because I'm literally so filthy I can't get in my bed. I can't get in bed filthy like this, right? I mean, this is the first time in my life that I'm like, and there's no pools open right now. That's the thing is, I think I let my gym membership elapse. I literally just told my wife, I go, I'm working so much, I'm not going to pay for the gym membership. We canceled like in March. And this would be the perfect opportunity to go into the gym and just at least take a shower, damn it. Maybe if you're running fast enough, they won't notice. Yeah, I'll pretend I have that. The key fob you have on the keychain? I still have that thing on my keychains. I can just kind of go through and just be like, or I left something in the locker room. So, but, exactly. Hey, dude, thank you for taking time in your busy schedule as you're out there shucking and jiving for your new movie, Restoration, available on VOD right now everywhere, whether it's DirecTV, Dish, soon to be on DVD. When does it drop on DVD again? July 5th. July 5th will be available at Walmart DVD, and then there's going to be some Redbox somewhere down the line, and, of course, everything ends up on Netflix someday. So whenever you come upon Restoration, please check it out. Zack Ward, he stars in it. Well, he acts in it, and he's directing it, and he co-wrote it, and edited it, and I'm sure he did a lot more. He wore me that. Yeah, craft service. Did you do any? Did you do any catering at any moment? No catering on it. But no catering. And he did get to abuse his mom. Just slightly, the 40-year-old woman. I would say I got to inspire her to levels of greatness. I'm just thinking somebody on set's just being like, what did you say to her, Zach? What? I told her, remember my childhood. Remember when you gave birth to me and my head was huge. When you saw that red hair. I had this much red hair come out when I was born. So, all right. Well, dude, I look to see you soon. And thanks for dropping in. All right, man. Pleasure. Take it easy. I'll talk to you guys. Bye-bye.
Welcome back, guys. We hope you enjoyed that interview with Zack Ward. We had a great time interviewing him. Dave got a lot of info. I got a lot of info. And hopefully, if you're out there looking to make your own movie, hopefully this was very beneficial to you as well. Now, like we were talking about, make sure you check out his new movie, Restoration, on VOD now. Redbox, possibly in the future, along with Netflix. But don't wait for that. We'd much rather you obviously see it now because it really is a great movie. I got to see it, and it's got a great twist. Definitely check it out as soon as you can. Now, with that being said, that is going to wrap it up for this week. We're actually we're posting this Friday night, and we will be podcasting again on Sunday. So we'll be up with episode 19 early in the week. So I know this kind of getting delayed thing kind of sucks, but at the same point, you're getting almost 2 back-to-back. So those that love the show, at least you don't have to wait as long in between these next few episodes. But yes, that is going to wrap it up. Dave's probably got to go get something to eat again, and that's it for episode 18 of the Dave and Creech Show.
Shut up and sit down.
Thank you for listening to the Dave and Creech Show. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of Dave and CJ. These views and opinions do not necessarily represent those of Creech Creative Productions or any of its affiliates.